this is Matthew from Channel 35, HND The Hand, and I'm here giving you an update on my Omnath deck. It's been a while. I see it's been like 10 months since I last posted an update, and I'm going to say I'm on version like 3-4. It's a little bit between both. And I'm working on version 5, so I really wanted to give an update now in the current deck state before I start messing with it again. And this will be up on Moxfield later after I'm done with the stream, and you'll get to see the whole deck list. But I do have it all prepped up, ready to go, and we're going to go over it. And then I'll give you a preview of my ideas for the next version. Okay. So Mana Crypt was originally not in here because it's really unfair. But my play group has all started playing Mana Crypt. So I started playing Mana Crypt as well. Yeah. And now this is actually a new card. Let's see. Can I make this a little bit bigger? A little bit bigger? Since apparently I can make it huge now. Whew. So Scepter of Eternal Glory. This is really, really good in monocolored decks. However, the issue I had with this is the way my deck is currently structured. I'm not really concerned with searching for forests and putting them onto the battlefield. I mean, I have Kodama's Reach in here. I have the other one. What's the other one? Sorcery. Cultivate. But that's only 2. The direction this went in is more creature-based ramp. So, unfortunately, Scepter of Eternal Glory is a little wonky. It's I played a whole game where I could only tap it for 1, and I had a lot of difficulty getting more forests, which was crazy, but can definitely happen as you keep adding more and more non-basic lands to the deck. If you want to play Scepter of Eternal Glory, you're going to have to modify your deck so you specifically have a bunch of creatures that search for lands. So I got Sol Ring, Swiftfoot Boots because I absolutely wanted minimally 1 card for haste and hexproof. Does both jobs. I'm not playing both boots, just 1. Thran Dynamo. I resisted for a really long time for playing Thran Dynamo because I wanted to keep this deck like mostly green and not like delve hard into artifacts. But you gotta evolve with the times, and the math on Thran Dynamo, even though it's not like thematically green, it adds a huge amount of mana. And to be realistic, why not? Why not? The math checks out. It really does. It's a 3 for 1. And if you're wondering what Mana Crypt replaced, Mana Crypt replaced, let's look up Lotus. Which one is it? Lotus. Gilded Lotus. Mana Crypt replaced Gilded Lotus. So I changed up a 5-drop for a 0-drop and put in Mana Crypt. I'm definitely going to have to go over like the efficiency of my ramp in here, just because I feel like I'm playing a little bit too many, but at the same time, maybe not enough. Maybe I'm not going as hard as I need to get up to that upper tier of mana, because a lot of my cards need me to have like 9 or 10 mana to cast them too. Okay. So Acidic Slime's been in the deck for forever. I don't think I'm going to remove it. Maybe I'll remove it at some point. I don't know. Problem is, having the ability to destroy land is always relevant. Always. And future planning for this deck may involve a lot of enter the battlefield effects. So Acidic Slime's still hanging around, and it's always relevant. Like, I'm always tutoring for this and killing a land all the time. So I don't see a reason to remove it. Ancient Bronze Dragon is definitely new. It's powerful, seems like overkill to a certain extent, but it only costs 7. And 7 is actually less than like most of the powered up cards, and 7 is right where I want to be most of the time, because the deck goes 6-7, 6-7, 6-7 really, really easily. So if your power is at 6 mana or 7 mana, you're golden. Like, if they kill it, they kill it. What are you gonna do? But really, really love Apex Allosaur. It's an enter the battlefield effect, which is mind-blowing. There's no reason not to include this. Like, it's the same reason you include the Eldrazi. It's a gigantic creature that wins you the game and removes things. And you don't even have to kill it. Like, you can just kill a couple things. I mean, the last game I played it, I wiped my opponent's board and killed 3 of his creatures. But that was worth it. I could have probably killed 2 of the creatures and then just let it attack and gain an advantage that way. But at the time, all the creatures absolutely had to die, or else I was gonna be screwed. But this is a gem. This is like green the way I want it to be, have always wanted it to be, and it just took forever to be printed. This is the card I was looking for when I was begrudgingly not wanting to include Eldrazi in my deck, because I was like, why doesn't green have some big removal creatures? This doesn't make sense. Now there's Apex Allosaur, and it's a winner, and it is definitely staying in for a very, very long time. Arbor Colossus is really outdated. It's 5 mana, but it really needs to go. Power level is really low these days. Biogenic Ooze is a mana sink, and it's an okay mana sink. I did have, I don't know, a ridiculous amount of mana in one of my previous games, and I was like, I have no cards in hand. I guess I'm going to dump that mana into here, which is the purpose of why it's in here. But at the same time, I thought to myself, I have no cards in hand again. And that has been the primary issue with this deck for a really long time. So we're going to try and rectify that. Birds of Paradise has always been in the deck. It always has some relevancy for just flying. I pump it, I win somehow with flying, or I block with flying. Birds of Paradise. It's unfortunately being cut after years and years and years, because it's a 0/1. I need the 1 attack power occasionally as a blocker in like really specific scenarios early game. So mostly for Monarch, which I plan on incorporating in the next version of the deck. Candy Peak Technician revolves around the idea of, I want to hit 4 mana. I want to hit Thran Dynamo. Okay, I want to hit Scepter of Eternal Glory. I want to hit 7 mana really easily all the time. This idea may come back around if I modify the mana rampers to focus on land ramp. But for now, it's definitely on its way out. Duplicate is a 6 mana exile target creature effect at sorcery speed. It is crazy good. I am going to work on Enter the Battlefield effects heavily in the next version of this deck. But exiling creature in green and being able to tutor for this is super relevant. Like everything green creature tutors. So if your creature has an ability, bazinga, you play duplicate and exile their creature. Elder Gargaroth is a heavy value-driven creature that wasn't previously in the deck. It does everything. It costs 5. It's a 6/6 with Vigilance, Reach, and Trample with literally no downside at all whatsoever. It draws you a card. Like, it does everything you want to do. So, great addition. Crazy powered up. But again, it shows you that this is the power level now. You have to be at this level. Because if you're not, you're going to get stomped on. Gulta usually costs 2. Good. Okay, so Giant Adipage. Unfortunately going to be removed because it's literally never gotten through on damage in a single game. Ever. Now, what if I protect my creatures with some hexproof effect, you say? I say Giant Adipage is suddenly not big enough, and hexproof doesn't matter, because I attack and they just block. So, which is crazy, a 7/7 for only 7 that does this crazy ability. But bottom line is it doesn't get through. So I might as well change it to something else. Ronus got Eternal, doubles and gives creatures vigilance till on a turn. And you can do it again when it dies. And you're just attacking for 5 and they're not blocking this. And hitting somebody for 5 every turn is a lot. It is. They only have 40 life. And I mean, you have other blockers most of the time. Hornet Queen has been in the deck for a really long time. Anti-flying, and it generates 4 insect tokens with Death Touch. So it's anti-creature in general as well. Death Touch is an amazing ability. I can't think of a reason not to play Hornet Queen unless there's some better anti-flying. I was playing a destroy effect for anti-flying, but bottom line, it was never relevant. So Hornet Queen was always more relevant. Collodion Hydra, generically good, counter doubler. It's good by itself, so keep that in mind. It's totally good by itself. Yes, I could synergize with this more, but I'm probably not playing mono green to synergize with this more. Like if you're gonna do counters, you're including another color. Kolga is like a crazy good inclusion. Like whoa, power level. 6 mana. It has a destroy creature effect essentially. I mean, you're killing most things for 7 damage for sure. And then if it lives, you can destroy one of their artifacts or enchantments on attack. So there's that. Kozilek. Kozilek is amazing in general. Even if you cheated into play, it still has Annihilate 4. The Graveyard Reshuffle was relevant for mill at one point. It's not really relevant anymore. If I were to take the deck in the direction of Graveyard Heavy, you would have to remove Kozilek, which is really, really hurtful to the overall power level of what am I possibly replacing with this with that has enough power level to justify removing this card. I didn't find anything. Not at all. Um, and I also think that if you're going heavy graveyard, you're also not playing mono green. You can put in more like graveyard return effects, and Wizards really wants you to go graveyard for green. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll try that at some point. That's an idea. But I have to remove Kozilek. And I really don't want to do that. So, a lot more elves, a lot more tribe. This is the 6 to 7 effect, a lot more tribe. Nisa Vasquez Seer was in the deck for a while. It's really not that great. It's never been relevant, so it's going to end up being caught in the next version. Nyx Bloom Ancient feels a little bit like overkill, but it's really good at the same time, and if you cheat it into play, there's no downside, so you could natural order into this, and if they kill it, they kill it. It's simple as that. But if they don't, you're going to crush them. So, Omnath, Oracle. Primordial Hydra is also an independent Hydra, good by itself. Also doubles its power. May get cut if I actually go really heavy on end of the battlefield because I want end of the battlefield to be relevant. I don't know how well I'm going to do on that right now. I'm working on it. Rampaging Balos. Even though I don't have a lot of put in the battlefield land effects anymore, this is still really relevant. You're just generating 4/4s when you play a land. Really good generic creature that attacks for, I don't know, minimally 11 most of the time. Minimally. So, graveyard removal. I don't really care for Selvala. But if I could work this a little bit better, I could last time I played with this, I had to use Omnath to draw the cards to make sure my opponent wouldn't draw cards. But then it immediately became relevant because I have like 5 extra mana. So you just have to be cognizant of what you're playing and what your opponent's playing, because you do not want them to draw a card. It's high risk, high reward type of spell, which I don't normally like playing, but the deck desperately needs some more draw, and that's why this went in. Silverback Elder, new, generally good card. And it really doesn't do anything until next turn, 95% of the time. But it's a threat. People want to kill it. So even if you did want to destroy an artifact or enchantment, it did a job because it ate a kill spell. Somber Walled Sage is a big deal. Used to be in the deck, back in the deck. Because you really got to go from to 6 to 7, like boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, like that. You have to. So, Spike Weaver, Fog on a creature. Steel Hellkite is definitely really, really old, really, really clunky. Flying Dragon, and it's gonna be replaced. I can tell you right now, it's gonna be replaced. So, basic mana ramp, hexproof, relevant. You don't want all your mana rampers to die if you're going the creature-based route. So, Terestodon probably cut soon. Probably cut soonish, yeah. Ulamog does everything. Exiles 2 permanents, wins you the game. No downside, besides it's expensive. And even if you cheated in play, you're exiling their library. And it's indestructible, so no downside. Vorinclex. Vorinclex has never been bad. The opponent's lands tapping has always been relevant. Always. I plan on taking it out just to reduce the mana cost a little bit. I may regret it. I don't know. It may come back, but it's gonna go out in the next version. Untap land. Woodfall Primus. What can I say? It's a threat. It always destroys something. It destroys something else when they block. There's no downside whatsoever. It's just expensive. Worldspine Worm. Worldspine Worm is the epitome of what I want in a green creature. This and Apex Allosaur are everything I need. They only get you if it exiles. So maybe they exile it, and that sucks. But if they don't, ba-boom, 15 more damage. So Wormcoil Legend, same idea. Good, Death Touch, Lifelink. I think this is the only life gain in the deck currently. The only life gain. Asceticism, because I want my creatures not to be killed all the time. Asceticism might be cut. I'm not sure for what right now. It may turn into the other boots. Just for hexproof and haste. It regenerates really never been relevant because damnation tends to kill all of my creatures, and you cannot regenerate with damnation. Can't be regenerated. Oh no. Yeah. So that's why it might go out. Bear Umbra is amazing. You throw it onto Omnath. Even if it only nets you 4 extra mana, it's amazing. It's Omnath protection package and ramps you at the same time. Okay, so I really got to bring up Hall of Gemstone here. I want to emphasize that Hall of Gemstone has never, ever, ever been bad in the deck. Never been bad. It's always amazing every single time I draw it. The only reason it might get cut is the deck desperately needs more card draw. Desperately. That's the only reason. I've had my fun. I've screwed people over. I don't know. I've been screwing people over for years with this card. If you play mono green, you want to give Hall of Gemstone a try. I mean, sure, they could kill it, destroy target enchantment, whatever. But if they don't got it, their whole game is ruined like 90% of the time. 3 color decks, ruined. Anything 3 or more colors, dead. 2 color decks, really difficult to play with Hall of Gemstone in play. Alright, really difficult. You just crush your opponent. Like, if they can't kill it right away, you, like, break them for multiple turns. Like, 4 or 5 turns could go by. They can do nothing. Nothing. And you win. You just win. Yeah. I really don't want to take it out. But I really need more card draw, too. I know that. Beast Within, Berserk, self-explanatory. Yes, I would like to pump this creature for 7 and win the game, potentially. Yes, I would. 7 damage or more from like one mana is very preferable. Very preferable. Broken Wings got put in because I needed some more potential flying kill. and the card it replaced that had split second, I forget what it is, but it's just destroy target enchantment artifact. That was not relevant for a very, very long time. Yeah, they can't counter it, but it was much more relevant to have destroy artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. Just straight up. Much more relevant. I have killed flying creatures with this. Very relevant. Heroic Intervention. Generally good save effect. So it's probably the best one. Like the best one possible. Stops Wrath of God. Stops other things. Hexproof, whatnot. Hunter's Insight may go out of the deck just to put a different draw effect in its place. Don't know yet. Ram Through. So this was an effort to put more removal in the deck. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. If that creature you control has trample, excess damage dealt to that creature you control is dead. This was put in specifically for more removal, but that wasn't good enough. No, it was not. There are other cards that cost 2 that do this effect, but this card specifically will roll over and deal direct damage, and that is insane level important and something the deck has always needed to do. Okay, like it needs to do this. So you take your 12/12 Trampler, Galta, or something else, and you sneak in that remaining damage. You kill like a 1-drop, and ba-boom. Return of the Wild Speaker may become some different Planeswalker card that draws cards. I'm shuffling around the draw. So Ancient Tomb's never been in the deck. It's grotesquely unfair, but all my play group is playing grotesquely unfair cards now. They decided, whatever. Alright, okay. Ancient Tomb's in, guys. You wanna do? I can do. It's not a big deal. Not currently playing the other card that taps for 2, Temple of False God. I could. Problem is you keep taking out more forests, you're going to end up screwing yourself on certain things. Homeward Path is in because it absolutely needs to be in. I need to find a way to search for this. A tutor needs to go in that searches for this because the power level is so high in this deck that I need my creatures back if somebody tries to steal them. A lot of these are self-explanatory for what they do. This is specifically because I keep adding more non-basic lands to the deck, and also because it powers up Omnath. So I actually had to remove one of my mana rampers from the deck because of this card, which is okay. It was Vernal Bloom. So Vernal Bloom, really, really good. Downside, your opponent can suddenly tap mana, and you don't want that. You really don't. So Vernal Bloom was replaced during the restructuring. We got Garrick for card draw. Nisa Vital Force for card draw. I'm really hard pressed to remove this for some other type of card draw just because every single ability is relevant. Untapping one land is crazy relevant in some games where I have a Gaia's Cradle. Returning a permanent, it's the only permanent return, it's the only graveyard return effect in the whole deck right now, besides like Kozilek to reshuffle. The emblem is backbreaking. I can't say enough good things about this. Vivian Reed was an effort to put in more card draw. I believe it was in the previous version as well. All the abilities are relevant. You'll never get to 8. Like, it's not going to happen. It's really not. But the +1, -3, really good. Cultivate, obvious. Genesis Wave may actually be cut from the deck. It's kind of a comeback card, but now that I'm focusing on creature-based ramp versus land-based ramp, it might need to go and just be replaced with a tutor. But I might end up going back to land-based ramp. Just because when you go with creature-based ramp, it becomes very fragile. It's way more powerful, like click, click, boom powerful, but way more fragile creature-based ramp. Green Sun, been in there forever, kind of obvious. Well, I'll show you the one trick with Green Sun. The one trick with Green Sun is if you want to Green Sun for 0. Oh, I think I made a mistake. So there's no Dryad Arbor. So let's fix that now. Dryad Arbor. There we go. Oh, is it listed under creatures? Oh, it's listed under creatures. No, it wasn't there before. No. Okay. So let me cut a forest. There we go. Okay. So the one trick with Green Sun Zenith is Dryad Arbor. You Green Sun Zenith for 0, and you put Dryad Arbor into play, and that's great. So I do it all the time. So, and if you have nothing for 1, you can Green Sun for 1 and get an elf. Why not do it for 0? So, yeah. Okay. And the last part, we're going to ignore the sideboard. There's no sideboard. That's more of a card pool. So Cultivate, super obvious. Green Sun, very obvious. Conundrum Reach, very obvious. Natural Order is probably the premier power level card in the deck. You never not play Natural Order in a green deck. I can't think of a reason not to play it. And then Tooth and Nail. And that is the current iteration of Omnath. And it's being reworked right now. And currently, again, I'm going with heavy creature base ramp, which is fragile but really powerful. If I were to replace this stuff, I would have to do probably enter the battlefield effects that I don't necessarily want to do right now. But if I go in the enter battlefield deck direction, then you can play like Birthing Pod and other sacrifice effects where I need Lawnmower Tribe in play. I need Lawnmower Tribe in play. Okay? If I play a 3-drop that gets me a land directly into the battlefield, I don't need that in play. That can die to Birthing Pod, like, instantly. Kill it. Goodbye. Don't need it. It can also die to, like, Eldritch Evolution. But anyway, this is version 3-4. I want you guys to see it before it gets another remix of another updating round, which I am working on now. And I will give you a quick preview of that. Let me save this. Load that deck. Version 5. So version 5 main deck has a bajillion cards in it right now. 499. Let's ignore that. The cards that are probably going in, and there's a lot of reasons why these weren't in the deck previously. Whoops. Regal Behemoth was in before, but keeping Monarch is a problem. It really is. or was. Like, you have to be really cognizant of this, because you can easily lose Monarch. But, and I really say but on here, the reason I'm reconsidering this is because you're right there with Monarch. Like, at the beginning of your end step, you draw a card when you're the Monarch. So that's the reason it's being reconsidered. It's also cheaper than Vorinclex. It's 2 mana cheaper. It doesn't have the land tap ability, but it draws you a card, and that's super duper duper relevant all the time. And that literally has been the problem with the deck for forever, and I'm dying to fix that. Other upgrades you're going to see that are absolutely going in the deck. Absolutely. Oh my god, Cityscape Leveler. I know what you're thinking. It's an 8-drop. I know what you're thinking. But I'm already playing Terrestodon. Alright? Already playing Terrestodon. Why is that not working? Terrestodon. Where is it? Okay. Oh my god, I have the card over here. Where is it? Terrestodon. There, no, it's Woodfall Primus. I didn't cut that already, I don't think. Terrestodon. Oh jeez, I can't find it for some reason. I don't think I cut it yet. Jeez. It's in the sideboard. Go there. Boom, boom, boom. T. Terrestodon. Okay. Terrestodon already costs 8 mana. Why am I playing that anymore? Yes, very, very, very often I need to kill like 2 artifacts. Minimally. So that's why Terrestodon hangs around. But if this is what the cheat into play route was for forever, okay? But what if most of the deck is like leaning towards actually casting the cards now. So it costs 8, Terrestodon costs 8, this has trample, it attacks and destroys something, non-land permanent, which it can kill a creature, or cast and kill a creature, so that's crazy relevant. And even if it dies, it has Unearth, and it's gonna kill 2 permanents when it unearths. Like, what's the downside here? Somebody fill me in. Oh, there is no downside. It's just like, even if you cheated into play, early game, cheated in play, it's amazing. Absolutely game smashing amazing. I'm debating on Old Gnawbone right now because it generates mana pretty much instantly. Technically a mana double effect, sort of. They're probably not going to be able to destroy your treasure tokens, so if they have an instant spell, they kill it. Whatever, kind of happens the same way with other cards like Vorinclex. But That's the thing with Vorinclex, though. If they kill Vorinclex, their lands are still stuck for return, and that's why it's been in the deck for such a long time. We'll find out. We'll find out how that rework goes. Pair of lost dice. I really like this because it's an instant speed graveyard return. Return any number of cards with total mana value X or less from your graveyard to your hand, where X is the total of those results. Exile pair of old dice lost. Pair old dice lost. Well, this includes lands, so even if you go in like the mill direction that Wizards wants you to go in, this is probably one of the better returns. Now, I don't want to go in the graveyard direction. I really don't. I'm going to include something. I don't know what yet, but I really don't want to go in the graveyard direction. I want to go in the end of the battlefield direction, which there are a lot of cards, surprisingly, that allow you to do this. Golden Argosy is one of them. Whenever Golden Argosy attacks, exile each creature that crewed it this turn, return them to the battlefield tapped under their control tap. So you can tap all of your creatures if you want to, even though it has a crew of one, as far as I understand, and bring them back. So this really leans into the end of the battlefield effects and may completely justify changing the mana ramp to mana blink. Pretty much everything that blinks in land costs 3. I don't know if there's anything cheaper. There might be. I'm going through it now. What else we got here? Old One Eye. Why is this relevant? Old One Eye is a 6-drop that enters the battlefield and creates a 5/5. Since I'm going in the battlefield direction, it really makes sense. Gives all my creatures trample, but some of them have trample, most of them do. Some of them don't, but... And at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may discard 2 cards. If you do, return Old One Eye from your graveyard to your hand. At the current, I have card draw issues, so I don't know how often that really happened. Maybe I have 2 lands in my hand. I don't know. But the power level of 11 for 6 is a little hard to pass up. It's a little hard to pass up. Especially when I can't really play something like Gigantosaurus for 5. Because as I keep putting in more non-basic lands, like things like triple green become a little difficult to play, and Gigantosaurus is 5 green. What else we got for goodies? So again, Wizards wants you to go in the graveyard direction. So Monster Manual. Mill 5 cards, return a creature card from your graveyard in your hand. This would require me to remove Kozilek, which really don't want to do. But and then it has a Piper effect. You may put a creature card from your hand on the battlefield. So there's no real downside to this. This is probably the best possible Piper. Graveyard return. There's some really good graveyard return in even monocolored for you artifact wise. So non-loyal ship enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard. You can pick your own graveyard if they have nothing. So when non-loyal ship deals combat damage to a player, you may put a creature card exile with non-loyal ship on the battlefield under your control. It only has a crew of 3. You can crew this most likely. So yeah, that's pretty baller. These are some old notes from the last time I was going through this. Some of the new swords help with card draw, and it gets you a land. So, well, theoretically gets you a land. So the downside is exile top 2 cards of your library. That could be really bad in some games. The plus side is you net an extra land, and you get to pseudo draw. So there's that. There is already equipment that lets you search for forests and put it directly into play. But it was never good enough when back in the day when I was playing it. It was never relevant. Like, it just was never, ever, ever relevant. You're going to want to make sure you have the mana to cast other things, potentially. So, you got to be wary of this. So, you play this. You equipped it. You swing. Okay. Be cognizant. You may not want to swing till next turn. So play your other spells, play this, equip next turn, and swing. So, what's this? This is Graveyard, I think. Yes, Conduit of Worlds, heavy graveyard effect. Okay. Now, Argentum Massacre really wants to help you and wants you to discard cards and have your graveyard effect, because the ability is amazing. I've had different Massacres in the deck and they've all been terrible. This one just straight up destroys a non-land permanent. Okay, that's the power level now. So I don't know about Defiler of Vigor. I really don't. Costs 5. Reduces costs by 1. It's gonna give a counter to itself, and so it's gonna be a 7/7, which is good. It's definitely good enough at 5. 7/7 at 5. It might make its way into the deck. I'm not sure. Not sure right now. What we got here? Kolga, ran through, buy down. I don't know if I talked about this yet. So, Court of Bounty is the whole Monarch deal, right? You become the Monarch. So, these type of effects were always previously in the deck. Cheating creatures into play with an enchantment. And I took it out because it cost 6, the other one, and there was always this weird scenario where my opponent would have the advantage. They would not cast spells, and the enchantment effect I was using at the time was just not relevant. Just not. So Court of Bounty puts you into a Elvish Piper scenario. Okay. You play Elvish Piper. It does nothing for you first turn. Nothing. And this does the same nothing. Okay. Because this trigger... Well, actually, that's not true. It draws you a card. You just have to be conscious of this. Again, because this could go really bad for you if your opponent ends up hitting you and they get to draw a card. So you're on the defensive a little bit, and you're also banking on blocking as well. So you may want your mana ramp to die just to block, because this is crazy relevant. Putting an extra land on the battlefield, nobody really cares. I might not even have it. But if I'm the Monarch, when the turn comes back around, I'm going to throw down and crush somebody with the biggest, baddest creature in my hand for 4 mana. Okay. So there's that. If you find that your opponent drawing a card seems to always happen, don't play this. I'm retrying it. I never wanted to play this because of Monarch, but it's time to give this a go. It really is. And if I can fix the card draw in the deck, which this technically helps the card draw in the deck, because I'm guaranteed to draw this card. Like, I'm literally guaranteed to draw this card no matter what. Like, I'm the Monarch. That cannot switch until my opponent's turn. Minimally. Well, literally can't switch till my opponent's turn. So, Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else I want to bring up here. It's a big preview. You can ignore this number. There's like 3 of, 4 of, this is a card pool and it gets added to all the time. This for the sideboard. What do I want to go through? Anything here? Let's clip through the creatures, just see if there's anything I want to bring up. Don't know if there's anything else I really want to bring up that's super relevant. Oh yeah. I guess this is new and relevant. I was debating about replacing this the slime that does graveyard removal with this. But you don't necessarily need graveyard removal right away, so you're gonna have to keep this in your hand for a really long time. I don't know if I want to do that. So this was trying to make mill relevant again. They really want you to mill in green, like really bad. Like he's shooting a green laser beam. It's a hint. Okay. When it enters the battlefield from graveyard, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent. Oh my god, it costs 7 for unearth, but it's so value driven in that type of mill return deck that you really want to play it. You really do. It's just better in black. Like, it's just better in green black. Why don't I just return it for the graveyard for 1 in black, or 2 or 3 mana in black? Yeah. What else do I got to consider on the consideration pile? I wonder if there's anything new and like outstanding. A lot of these cards I've shuffled around back and forth in many times over. So, yeah. Not new, but with all the self-mill that they've created, Genesis is now relevant again. And I used to play Genesis, and it got cut because it was never relevant, because there was no self-mill. But now there is, and you have the opportunity to play Genesis again. I might play this just because I'm pretty much always going to draw a card off of this, like, literally all the time. So, yeah. Iron Scale Hydra. If creature would deal combat damage, Iron Scale Hydra, run that damage and put a plus counter on it. It's not as dangerous as playing Vigor. Generally good. It's them blocking doesn't matter, so just feels a little slow. It's a little slow. So Forest Walk is weirdly relevant again. It's because of that Yavimaya land. So I was thinking about this. I was thinking about Kodama, the West Tree. Might make its way in. Meteor Golem just because it's a creature and birthing pod type of deal. I don't know if there's anything else new and fancy. Frostfang. See, Frostfang gives your creatures Death Touch, but there are two other effects that grant this card draw effect. One of them is indestructible and costs 4. The other one also costs 5, and it's a little weird. I don't remember if it actually grants card draw though. Let me try and find it. Again, they really want you to play off the graveyard now. Like, really bad. So... But if you're not playing black, like, it's just better to play green-black. I want to bring up this card. It's definitely not going in the deck, but it's just ridiculous for how it functions and the reasons it was printed. Root Path Purifier. Land you control and land cards in your graveyard are basic. Now, green has a lot of return basic land card from your graveyard effects. And making all your lands basic lands is also relevant to some effects. This feels super reaching and actually way too expensive at 4 mana. Just to be upfront, way too expensive. If you wanted this to work, it should have cost 2. Okay, it 2. And it'd be a 1/1. Simple as that. Still not that great because it's bad by itself, but it would work it too. You could still make it work. I don't want to try to make this work. It's way too... It's not difficult. It's just... Why am I playing niche effects when I can just throw down power? You got to understand that. Why am I doing that? Rootwire Amalgam is strange little thing. You play it for 5, you kill it, you get 15 power for a total of 10 mana. I don't see a downside, but again, it makes you want to play off the graveyard. So there's a lot of stuff that wants you to play off the graveyard. Just in my personal opinion, mono green is not the way to go. You gotta do green black. Don't do green white, don't do green blue. Not strong enough graveyard effects there. Not green red. I mean, red has a lot of weird graveyard effects, whatever, but green black. So here's the other card. Other tapped creatures can draw Death Touch. Other untapped creatures will have Hexproof. So it doesn't actually draw cards, but it's the Deathproof, Hexproof thing. Want you to play off the graveyard. So it costs 11 though. It's really harsh. But it's exiled from your graveyard. So what do you care? Like, what do you care? So you're probably paying the 5 all the time. And you get 4 counters, vigilance, flying, trample, lifelink. There's no downside. Like, you want to play that effect. I don't know if it's good enough for mono green though. don't know if there's anything else that really stands out that I want to talk about for creatures. There are more creatures that fight, and technically the deck could use more removal. But I don't know. I'd rather just have it enter the battlefield. You're paying 8 or you're paying 7 for it anyway, so why not just play something else? So like this costs 9. Who cares if it doesn't have haste? If you don't have the 9, you cheat it into play, it attacks and fights target creature defending player controls. Yeah, if you have to wait a turn, whatever, if you're cheating into play. So here's the other one. Whenever Thorn Mammoth or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Thorn Mammoth fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. So this costs 7. The other dinosaur costs 8. Okay. This enters the battlefield. The other one does not. Thorn Mammoth, blatantly better. I don't know if I need to play Thorn Mammoth. I don't know. It is repeatable kill though. As long as you don't kill Thorn Mammoth, which you're probably killing Thorn Mammoth, let's be real. It's also questionable sometimes if 6 damage is enough. But that's your alternative. Oh man, Thrun. It really, really sucks that I can't play Thrun. I really like Thrun. Can't be countered is kind of whatever these days. Tramples whatever. Hexproof non-green is crazy whatever. Even indestructible on your turn is super whatever. As crazy as that sounds, and as powered up as this should be, attacking with a 5/5 indestructible that does nothing is crazy irrelevant, unfortunately. And that just shows how evolved the game has become. Like, if you're not throwing an equipment on this or something else to make it better, it serves no purpose on its own. And I really want to play cards that serve purpose on their own. Like, I don't want to work for my cards. I just want my cards to throw down power and be good. Graveyard effects. Graveyard effects. Graveyard effects. Yeah. So the 3-drop range that they all search for a land to put into play. This is one of them. You could do this. Makes a lot of sense if you go the birthing pod route, because you just kill it. Because yeah, you kill it. I mean, you'll eventually be able to attack with this, and then I guess if you're going birthing pod route, you're also doing graveyard return to a certain extent, so it does make sense. It's a lot of work though. Like, I'm doing a lot of extra work to include certain other cards, and the deck doesn't do that right now. It doesn't even need to do that. It just needs more draw effects. Could play this. This is the other draw effect. Doesn't give death touch, but it has indestructible, can't be countered. Very little downside. This kind of sucks. Like, I guess you could include this because of the ward and the haste. I don't care about the trample. I don't care about can't be counter. That's super irrelevant. It has toxic. 3 hits, you can kill your opponent, I guess. It's a big maybe, really is. If it didn't have haste, I wouldn't even consider it at all. But, yeah. I wrote this card off quite a long time ago, but if it lives and you have the 7 mana, it'd be really good. Venturous Gear Hulk is the whole graveyard return thing. Just don't think it's good enough with mono green. I really don't. I stopped playing Vigor a long time ago because if somebody steals Vigor from you and you can't get it back, it's even worse than having an Eldrazi stolen. Even worse. Yeah, I'll think about it, but probably not. So this guy is the other Oracle, creature Oracle. But there's actually no real reason to play him anymore because you can do the same thing with the Planeswalker for 5 mana now. Oh, here's the... So if flying is an issue in your play group and you constantly need to kill creatures with flying, and you're tutoring and you're playing mostly green and your tutors are creatures, your Whiptongue Hydra is by far your best option to nuke the board for flying creatures. It got cut though because played like 30 games and it was sitting in my hand waiting for a flying creature to kill, and there weren't any. There just weren't. Oh yeah, graveyard relevancy. So there are a bajillion creatures that enter the battlefield and search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield. A bajillion. And if you actually do heavy graveyard return, this is relevant because it kills itself. You don't even need to kill it. But again, I really think that's better with 2 colors. I may eventually try this, but for right now, I don't want to go in this direction because I have to remove Kozilek. I don't want to remove Kozilek. This card feels really niche. It's super early game. It gets big really fast. Costs 3. The problem is it costs 3 green. And even though I'm playing mono green, very often I only have 2 green for a while. Just because of the direction the deck has gone in. And I need to play mana rampers before I play him. So, big maybe. Big maybe. Oh, this thing was ridiculous. There's an enchantment that does this effect, but now there's a creature that does this effect. So, at the beginning of each combat, which includes your opponent's combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end turn. Also, sacrifice 2 other creatures, put an indestructible counter on it. So it really incentivizes graveyard return. It really does. But why would you not do this? It's really, really good. It only costs 7 too, so it's on point for click, click, into play. Click, click, into play. So there's all kinds of interesting things in here. Anything else I want to talk about before I wrap this video up? Just looking. Again, this is your preview for like the next version of the deck. This is my card pool. Thinking of your upkeep, you may cast a permanent spell from your hand with converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the highest converted mana cost among other permanents you control without paying its mana cost. If you don't, scry 1. So, if you work this into the deck, you have to be really cognizant of mana cost. And you also have to have really good draw effects. It has a squirrel in there in the picture, so it's like, should I just play the squirrel and this card? It's encouraging you to do that. It only costs 2. The problem is, it's not going to be relevant for a while. Like, you're going to be scrying and scrying and scrying probably for 3 turns. Let's say 3 turns most of the time. Yeah, you could time this out with your 3 drops, per se. Because this is going to be your highest converted mana cost, so it's going to be 3 and up. You might not have that. Maybe you have a 4 drop, but then you don't have a 3 drop. And so you don't get to cast the 4 drop. So it's a little difficult to play with. Don't get me wrong, the power level is obscene. But it's a little difficult to play with without really heavy filtering and really heavy card draw. But man, I want to make that work. It only costs 2. And they knew it was difficult too, because it cost 2. And it's super difficult to actually function. You might be better off just playing Birthing Pod, honestly. Lurking Predators. I really want Lurking Predators to be back in the deck. Yeah. Yeah, I really would want it to make its way back into the deck. The power level's stupid high. The deck is containing more and more and more creature-based effects now. I really want to put this back in the deck. Squeeze it in. Mana Reflection. I think it was not in the deck for a while because it was expensive. It becomes more relevant now that I'm playing artifacts and creatures that tap for mana. So this is the high risk, high reward gameplay of the deck. The only reason not to play this is because I'm playing the other card that's a mana tripler. That's the only reason. And I question how many of these effects do I really need? How many? I'm not sure yet, but very big on the radar. It dies me. Very tempting. Very tempting for Nest of Kin. Again, have to fix the card draw to make that work, though. This one with Kami, you actually don't have to fix the card draw. You just flash this in onto a creature that's about to die, and you get like 6 or more spirits. I don't know how relevant those spirits are, but it's a save value driven effect, sort of. You might be better off making something indestructible for like 1 mana. Oh, yeah. So, overlaid terrain really emphasizes why you're better off playing black with overlaid terrain. Yeah, you have all the crazy, crazy graveyard return, but it's also really hard. It nukes your lands for 4. It's not good. It's niche and difficult to play with, and I'd rather not do it. So I want Pattern of Rebirth back in the deck. Yeah, it's sorcery speed, but it could really wreck somebody and make a threat a bigger threat. So, yeah. I've never played Unnatural Growth before. I've never really considered it. It only costs 5. There's a creature I plan on playing that costs 7. I don't see a reason not to play it. It's questionable why you're running any other pumpers besides this. Yeah, questionable. So, ooh, Wild Pair. I really want Wild Pair to work. The new Kodama puts permanents in play from your hand. Old Wild Pair. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, you may search your library for a creature card with the same total power and toughness to put it on the battlefield. So, the reason this is relevant is because the direction I want the deck to go in currently is Blink Return, which I may end up having to change around the mana base and mana accelerators quite a bit for Blink Return, because I believe there are 3 extremely solid colorless Blink Returns, minimally 3 that I've found that are super solid. Let's see. They are, I believe, they're all artifacts. So I should go back to the top. Actually, I already showed you one. I'll leave it at that for now. I don't want to give too much of a preview of version 5. Version 5 is just in the works. So let's like cut it off there. And as soon as I have an updated version of 5, I will bring it up. It's definitely exciting to think that I could do Blink Return. You could also do Graveyard Return, which again, kind of weak in green. Kind of weak. I really don't want to try and make that work right now, but I'm really excited about the Blink Return idea. So I'm gonna go in that direction. And I don't know if it'll stay in that direction, but I'm really leaning towards it right now. What was the one Blink Return I showed everybody? Here it is. Golden Argosy. So again, that's next turn, but it triggers on attack, so minimally it's doing it once. I don't know if they would really kill this. I'd be surprised if somebody killed this. I mean, it's an artifact, they're going to kill it, but yeah, that might be the one thing that kind of you know what? Change my mind. I'll show you Blink Returns, just because I'm thinking in my head that where's Conjurer's Closet? So I'm just thinking that there is really heavy artifact kill in Commander now. Like, there's a bajillion cards that destroy an artifact and do something else. So I don't know how good Conjurer's Closet Green would fare. I definitely want to try it. Like, at the beginning of your end step, you may exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control. So I could do a whole bunch. There's actually a ton of cards that already make this relevant in the deck. What comes to mind? We got Kolga for additional fight. I mean, Terrestodon's currently in the deck. Acidic Slime. So this is already relevant to a lot of creatures in the deck. It could be more relevant. This one triggers right away. The other one is a sword. Sword of something. I'm on the creature. Artifact. Sword. Not that one. Still really good because of the +1/+1 counter and proliferate. And the reason I say that is because you could play more planeswalkers and make this relevant and go the proliferate route and the counters route if you wanted to. There's a lot of routes they want you to like go in that you could go in. But this one is by far the most appealing because I don't have to rework the deck. Like, I don't have to rework Blink Return that much. There's all kinds of creatures that make this relevant already in the deck. Just period. So whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, exile up to one target creature you own, then search your library for a basic land card, put both those cards on the battlefield under your control, then shuffle your library. That's really good. Like what? Like, I get a land, which this replaces one of the older land search equipments. Get some protection. And I get to blink my creature for additional added value. Even if it's not like an enter the battlefield relevant effect. What if I just need a blocker? And I attacked and now I need to block. That seems really good. So yeah, there's that. That is the idea I'm going with now, but there's three directions besides just throwing down raw power. Okay, you got graveyard return, you got blink return, and you got counters. There are cards for all of those. It just depends. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Right now, I am just building up raw power. That's what I want to do. That is old style green. That is the reason I made this deck. And you want to throw down. Okay. You want to throw down with really big things. Maybe not Apex decks there. But you want to throw down with... Did this go on the sideboard? Jeez. Apex Allosaur. Ay. Okay. If you want to play green and you want to throw down and play big things like I want to do and cheat them into play with different ways, you play Apex Allosaur. Alright? You can't get more green than this. Like, this is amazing. And that's kind of where I want to leave it. You saw the version 3-4 deck. You got a preview of version 5. And I'm working on it. What can I say? I realize that there are 3 directions I could go in, or I could just keep raw power. And right now, I'm just focusing on raw power. And it's super fun. And I'll have the version 4 deck list up on Moxfield, my account. There's a link in the Twitch account, and you can also find me on YouTube. I also have a Twitter, all under the same name, Channel 35 HAND. And yeah, that's the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night. Bye bye.